Hello, everyone. Welcome into the latest edition of Prem Talk, your go-to spot for anything Premier League, anything Champions League. Small show today. It's just me and Mill on the show. Nate is actually traveling to the UK. He should be landing tomorrow morning, which will be very exciting. He'll be on the next weekend preview. So much has happened in football today, just alone on this Sunday. But before we get into it, please smash a like on the video, subscribe to us, and comment your questions so we can answer them on the weekend preview. But there's really only one place to start, and that is the shambles that is Manchester United. Um, we traveled away to Vicarage Road this weekend, played Watford. I was there front row. I was actually on the telly. I was on the broadcast quite a few times. Got very close to Ronaldo, so that was really, really a wholesome moment for me. A moment I've waited for so long. But the match itself, it kind of distracted me from how bad we played, and I know there's a huge manager uh, fallout to talk about, but we're just going to analyze the game first. Mill, I don't even know where to start. Please help me.
I mean, I was sat at home watching the TV, and I think the only pleasure I got from that game was the idea that you were sat amongst Watford fans. And then when I saw you on the TV, I was thinking, Christ, Zeki, 4 times this game has had to stand up and start clapping for watching Watford score against his team. But yeah, it was heartbreaking. It was heartbreaking because you play Liverpool and lose 5-0, and that's like its own heartbreak because it's rivals and like Liverpool top side. But going Watford and losing 4-1, like okay, two of the goals were in added time, but still they happened. And I think De Gea could have done better in both of them. Um, I don't know. It was a really poor performance from the team, except I'd say Donny, who was incredible in the second half.
Without
Very
a
forward
doubt.
playing. Yeah, very forward playing. Obviously he got his goal. I'll speak about that in a bit, but he got his goal. But then even after his goal, he was looking for forward balls through, trying to get some assists going. Yeah, now going back to that goal, I was wondering. I asked you then, but I can't really remember what you said. When the ball goes into Ronaldo, right, and he jumps, do you think he gave it to Donny because it was an easier goal, because he would have struggled to score it himself, or do you think it was because like he just wanted Donny to score and sort of get off the mark?
You see that whole goal made me so happy. Just because the timing of it and everything, like obviously going into
Yeah,
halftime down 2-0, it was, and having all these Watford fans, and the stadium's small, so everyone's just so rowdy, so wild, and just hearing them scream and make fun of my team, whatever. That goal came at such a good time, because at that moment I thought we were going to come back and win it because we still had 11 men
mm,
on the pitch, and I saw Ronaldo making the run in because it was right there, and I just wanted Sancho to whip it in. I was like, just thinking for him to whip it in, and he whips it in, and Ronaldo jumps, and I'm thinking I'm just gonna see another classic header, and then I see Donny coming in. I I think he could have put it away. I really do. Um, I think also just giving it to Donny, it was obviously a tap in for him. It was
yeah,
a lot easier, but you have to actually look at how, like, that's so hard to do, control
yeah,
across, like passing it with your head. Like he just assisted on a cross that was whipped in like so forcefully. Like the
yeah.
cross had so much pace on it, and to cushion it down with your head, which is a bone. It's not even like there's no padding on it, it's a head.
It's the
Um,
bone.
yeah, exactly. Like right so accurately to Donny for him to tap it in is, I mean, that
Mm.
was arguably more difficult than just finishing it off, but what a great moment for them. I'm happy that Ronaldo was the one to get Donny back on the score sheet. But yeah, out of that match, he's the Donny Ronaldo as well with the assist. But Donny's the only player that I thought played tremendously
Yeah,
yesterday. I didn't have any issue with him whatsoever. We were horrendous. And it was actually really cool. I saw Donny warming up. He was warming up pretty much the whole first half, and I was right next to him because I was on that side, and I was just looking at him, and I think he could tell I wasn't a Watford fan. Because I must have been so weird. I was like staring at him the whole time. He was just running up and down, doing his knee ups and whatever. And I looked at him, and I held my hands. I was like, "Come on, man, like please." And he looked at me and he winked. So he knew. to a certain extent. But
Mate, imagine he ran and celebrated with you when he came on and
I
scored. I would have seen you on TV with a bunch of Watford
I know,
fans, and
I
just
know.
you there going mental.
Yeah, yeah, but I knew that hope for celebration was over because we were down. Like no one was going to celebrate. So until we got
How
the
would
lead.
the Watford fans suss you out at any point?
No, they didn't. Actually, I was really good. Really good. What I did, so they were clapping the whole match, so I was just kind of tapping my chest to the beat of whatever they were doing. That was it. And every time they scored, I had to turn around. I there was this woman and her kid sat right behind me. I just gave them a fist bump every time. It hurt me, pained
Yeah.
me, but like I just turned around and was like, yeah, well done. But yeah, no, it was tough. And it's you can we can look at this a couple ways. Whether or not the players were just so fed up and just so aimless as to what they were doing, or was it a Claudio Ranieri masterclass, as some people are calling it? Which do you think it's more of? Did Watford play so well, or did we just play so poorly?
A bit of both, I think. I think like United losing to Watford will always look bad on United, but I think you have to give Watford credit. Like they ran in behind constantly. They found the passes, and not only that, they were clinical. Um, I don't know how many shots they ended up having on a goal. If you don't count the penalties, which De Gea did really well to save both. Like um, if you don't count those, like I think most times they had a shot on target. It was either really testing for De Gea or it went in. And Maguire's red card. Oh my god. Oh my god. I
What an
think I think
absolute
maybe that
joke he is. What an absolute joke.
that maybe helped the third and fourth goals sort of find themselves in the game. But I know when I think when you're losing 2-1, there's still hope. And I think at that level you've either got to trust your defense and defensive abilities or trust the keeper. You can't just like lash out that far away from goal um to pick up the red. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, watching that game, I was just really frustrated the entire time. Um, I was kind of hoping for comeback FC, but that seems like it would be sort of a last season thing. It's definitely not this season. Um, and I think that's come back to bite us because our performances last season weren't good enough. Um, but we always had those individual moments of brilliance. Now it's just not really running as smoothly. But yeah, I think Watford did play well, like really well. They definitely didn't play like a side that's facing relegation. Um, they played like a they played like a really fast-paced game. I think that really caused trouble for our defense. But yeah, in attack, even we weren't good. Like I spoke to you before we started recording about that Bruno miss. I think in those situations, okay, there might be a bit of pressure to score, but you have to hit the target. And he had time, could have done anything he wanted. And for him to blast it over like that, it shows like a real lack of technique and lack of professionalism. Okay, maybe he was a bit nervous, or maybe the ball just didn't like hit right. But still, from a professional footballer in the Premier League, those shots should be second nature to you. You don't have to put it in the top corners or the bottom corners. Just hit it on target. At least test the keeper. At least, because we didn't do that
Oh,
enough.
Ronaldo was
Um,
so mad, Mil. He was so mad.
yeah, I
I
know.
heard him. He screamed to the sky because if you don't remember, like that build up, that was all Ronaldo with the wing play. I don't even know who the right back was, but he sent him all the way back to I don't even know where. But um, great wing play, and he picks out Bruno, and we've seen Bruno in that position bang those in every single time. At least hit the target. He's right at the top of the 18. It's like his perfect range for him, and he skies it. It sums up everything really. And you brought up Harry Maguire, especially after our little argument last episode about him. But out of everyone, I don't think anyone particularly played well besides Donny. But my two lowest ratings go to Bruno and Harry Maguire. I think Bruno was atrocious the entire match. I gave him a three, and Maguire I gave him a two. It's really hard to get a two, but with what he's done, and I just since the knee slide, since him doing this against Albania again, what has he done? He's come back, he's played atrociously again, and this sending off was criminal one because it ruined any chance of a comeback. I actually thought we were going to get a result if we still had
Yeah.
11 people
I
once
think we would
that
have.
goal went in.
I think we would have.
100%. And it was so careless as well. Careless mistake. He gets the ball and takes a heavy touch when he's the last man. He's lucky it
It's
was like a
playground.
yellow and not a straight sending off.
Yeah, it's like playground football. Like you've got to keep your head and be professional in those moments, especially when you're the captain of Manchester United. Um, okay, I get it, right? If he's 1-on-1, 3 on goal, and it's gonna be tough for De Gea to stop it, even though De Gea is a world class keeper. Um, you've gotta keep your head and try and like make a defensive challenge, and then you can take the red if that is the case. But it wasn't the case. It was rash and it was panicky, and that's not what I want to see, especially from the captain. I want to see a sort of calmness in defense, and I don't know when I'm gonna see that from this Man United side. Hopefully, maybe under Carrick, but hopefully from a longer term solution. We'll talk about that in a bit. But yeah, I don't know what to say about that game. It it wasn't as painful as the Liverpool 5-0. But maybe that's because I've sort of given up this season. Like I saw ourselves as title contenders, and now I'm slipping us below Europa League, maybe conference contenders. Like it's really a joke. I don't know. I just want the season to like revive itself, and I know that it's not going to be an easy challenge, especially when we're playing Chelsea next week, and we're going to have a tired squad if we don't rotate for Villarreal. So, and that's a game that we also that's an equally big game, and probably a competition which we're more prominent in. We have a bigger chance in that competition than the Premier League, which I think is nuts. Um, but yeah, let's just do what
Yeah,
Chelsea did last season.
exactly, exactly. Horrendous match from United, but the fallout is bigger than the match. So right after the match, I was on the train back and I got news. Um, the upper management, the board called an emergency meeting like right then and there, like in an hour's time at present time, which I have never seen happen before, especially at our club. So I knew he had to have been on his way out. Like they're not gonna hold the meeting just for fun, just to talk.
Uh,
Um, which prior to this week we didn't think was possible just because of the turnaround time to Villarreal. But I mean that was the nail in the coffin for me was the City match. For me actually it was the Liverpool match, and then it was the City, another nail. Then with the
yeah.
international break and everything, they
How
didn't do
many
anything.
nails can you put on the coffin? How many
Well,
nails?
apparently you need three. Apparently you need to hammer it in three times just to make sure. But this fallout actually, in my opinion, I think we're actually in a worse spot than we were before we sacked him, which I didn't think was possible. But each minute that went by, I kept waiting for new news to come out, thinking that we had behind the scenes talked to a different manager, had someone lined up, in case this happened, and I couldn't have been more wrong. So basically, what's happened to summarize, Ole's been sacked as of this morning on Sunday, and Michael Carrick uh, is appointed, I guess, caretaker slash interim manager for the next few games, as they said in their statement, until we get another interim manager before we get a permanent solution. So basically, Carrick is the interim to the permanent, um, which in and of itself is just a stupid statement to make. Like, how can that even be real, Mel? How is that a thing?
I mean, I mean, are you not just like a little bit intrigued to see what Carrick does?
Not at all. And I'll tell you why, Mel. I'm not intrigued at all. Because it's no different. Appointing Michael
Yeah,
Carrick as a manager is absolutely, it's no difference. And you know why it's no different? Because Michael Carrick, Mike Phelan, and McKenna are more to
still
blame for this whole situation that United is in, more than Ole. Because Michael Carrick was an assistant coach under Jose Mourinho and then he got sacked. So Mourinho got second with United in the league. And then the following season, Michael Carrick joins him, and then he gets the sack. Michael Carrick and Mike Phelan and McKenna were all with Ole when he was appointed at interim, and they did their mates FC. They got United back for that 15 matches. Then he was appointed permanent manager. Michael Carrick, Darren Fletcher, and all these guys have their football boots on the training pitch with all the players every single week for the last 3 seasons, and Michael Carrick is is the person that coaches them. Ole has come out and said in his press conferences that he doesn't coach the players. He said it 4 times. I don't coach the players, I manage them. Okay, so that means Michael Carrick is coaching them. That means McKenna is coaching them. That means Mike Phelan is coaching them. So just appointing the backroom staff, the people who are already coaching the players, to coach the players again, it's no change.
Yeah.
It's no different.
Yeah, I mean, I completely get that and I agree, like 100%. Um, but if Michael Carrick's now the interim, does that mean he stops coaching and it goes to the other lads? Or does it go, does he do like sort of both?
I have no idea. I don't know
Right.
because you see, like Pep and his trainings, he's involved in the training sessions. Like Jurgen Klopp is involved in the training sessions. There is coaching that goes on with those types of managers, but there just wasn't with Ole because he's not a coach. So,
Yeah.
like Michael Carrick has literally never co managed anyone, not
Yeah.
even Mulder. Like not
I
no
mean,
one.
if it goes bad, then it's obviously because of this, because of the, no managerial sort of experience, just purely coaching. But if it goes well, and I know that you would die before it goes well, but if it did go well, um, maybe it's because there was a disconnect between the players and the manager in that sense. Like they couldn't really train, and maybe that's why Donny didn't get picked quite a lot. Um, Also, a lot of tactical decisions made by Ollie in the middle of games like were atrocious. Regardless of the coaching, they lacked logic. Um, so yeah, I don't know. I think with Carrick, if there's someone that you've been training with every day, and even if he was a bad coach, you'd probably still feel a bit more connected to them than a manager that is a bit volatile in his decision making. I say that he does stick with his favorites, but he's unpredictable, is what I'm trying to say. Like you can't, he's predictably bad, um, in other words. But yeah, I know without Ollie, I wonder how the club's going to go. Like, will there be teething problems to the sacking? And if not, like, why fire Ollie now when we haven't lined up a proper interim or a proper permanent solution? Um, and what were we doing in the international break if we knew that Ollie was on his last legs? And what was this back and forth saying, okay, Ollie's got 3 games. Oh, you know what? We'll back him. We'll stand by him because Conte's gone to Spurs now. Oh, but now Ollie's lost 4-1 to Watford. Now we're in the mud. We don't know what we're doing. Listen, it was incompetence from the board. Ollie wasn't good enough in his games. The results weren't good enough. The coaching clearly wasn't good enough. Tactics were off. We got outclassed by Watford. Not only a little bit, to the point where we lost 4-1. We got outclassed by Liverpool, our biggest rivals. Players didn't show up on the day. We lost 5-0. City, I think we had more shots on our own goal than we had on their goal. Now we've got Villarreal tomorrow, and we can sort of pray that the vibe of a new competition or a different competition sort of lifts the spirits a bit. But I don't know. I don't know what I'm expecting to see Carrick on the sidelines. Like he's abnormally quiet with Ollie when we are losing and playing badly on the sidelines, and it cuts to Ollie and he's looking terrified or clueless or both. And Carrick's always sat there just doing nothing as well. If Carrick is coaching them every day, then surely he should also be quite vocal because he knows the players, he knows their qualities. Um, and what's going to happen with the team sheets? Like, is Carrick going to implement his own little philosophy and stuff? I don't know. There's a bit of like frustration. There's also a bit of excitement and a bit of uncertainty there. Um, Merely because I just want to see us do better again. And as a United fan, naturally, I'm going to hope for immediate recovery. Um, I don't think we'll get it, but I'm hoping for it. I want to know your feel on the incompetence of the board in finding a new manager or interim.
I mean, this just takes it to a whole new level. Like the last, for however long the Glazers have been owners for the last 13 years almost, they've just shown how little they care about the football. Um, and I just want to say that I think they handled this situation with Ole so poorly, and I think they disrespected him to a maximum with what they've done with him. They've used him as a puppet to, which is what they want to do, and how they went about this sacking is absolutely disgusting to me because obviously Ole's a tremendous guy. Like everyone knows that he's personally one of the best guys you're going to meet in the industry. He's a club legend. a phenomenal player, and he loves the club as well. But it took them so many hours to release an official statement about the sacking. The whole world knew he was gone before United have said anything, and they did the same thing with Mourinho. They did the same thing with Van Gaal. Like it got leaked. They got leaked everywhere, and but more importantly, they used him, Ole, as a scapegoat for their incompetence. He should have never managed the Watford match. He should have never even been put in that situation. He should have been gone well before that. For the mere chance that what happened on Saturday actually happened, because they kept him in a job so long, he was actually made just he was being made fun of. Like it was just for him, he lost connection with the fans. I mean, now everyone is pretty much on the same page. Like they still love Ole for what he's done. But after the Watford match, the United away section, not all of them, but a decent amount of them were shouting, "Get out! Like get out of my club, get out!" to Ole when he went around and apologized to them or said goodbye, whatever you want to call it. But they allowed him, the Glazers allowed him to just sit in that hot seat and just take all this bashing week in, week out when he shouldn't have been in that role. Like it bothers me so much that they didn't sack him before the Watford match.
I mean, the owners just, I don't know. I think they're so incompetent that Joel Glazer's not in the meeting that determines whether Ole gets the sack. He's the last say in it. Like he's not there sitting in the 5 hour meeting that so happened. I don't know if that's the right way to say it, but yeah, he wasn't in that 5 hour meeting. But he gets a phone call about the outcome of the meeting and then just goes like, yeah, okay, cool, whatever you guys have done, just sign it off on my name, and then yeah, we'll do it. And as well, like he did a good thing, like getting the funds in and financing the signings in the summer. But you have to ask, like, if Conte comes in at the start of the season, with that United side, or any other manager, any other competent manager like the Ten Hags or the Zidans, even though they're quite unlikely, just any other manager, I reckon we might not be in first place, but we're competitive for it. Um, Now, I think Ben Foster said it best in his pre-match interview. There's probably 17, maybe 18 teams in the Premier League, which you could get points from, and Man United's one of them. And that's from the Watford keeper, who I think is super old and spends half his time on YouTube. Um, and he's a former United player, so like, he keeps it real. But I think it's sort of embarrassing. Um, I've gone and told all my friends at the beginning of the season that United are title contenders, and now look at me, Zeki. I'm getting bullied in group chats. It's not a fun place to be. It's definitely not a fun place to be, and I don't know. I don't think it will pick up under Carrick. I don't think it will
No
pick
shot.
up under
And
until we
you
get
all
the
can
new.
clip me if I'm wrong. Clip me right now. I'm telling you right now, we will see absolutely no change with Michael Carrick. We'll get a new manager's bump because we really can't get worse than we are now. So I don't think we win against Villarreal. I think we might win. I think we draw away, which would be enough. But I think we absolutely get smashed when we play Chelsea on the weekend if Michael Carrick is in charge. Um, but the fans aren't thinking about that, Mill. They're not thinking about any of that because of this video that United have conveniently released after they sacked Ole today. So they sack Ole in the morning, and where is Ole in the morning? He's at the training ground. He's at the club after they've sacked him. Like hours after they sacked him, he shows up at Carrington. We didn't know why at the time. Um, a few hours later, MUTV releases a video, an exit interview with Ole talking about his time at the club, how much he loves the club. Like, am I? It's all for PR spin because they're trying to make us feel for him, and this whole thing about sentimental value to distract from the shambles that we are. Like Ole, poor guy, he started crying in the interview, and don't get me wrong, I got a little emotional watching the interview, and I wasn't even here alive when he was a player for that 99 goal. Um,
Yeah.
but I saw him so much pain and just how much he actually loved the club and how much he
Mm.
cared. Like he still said, "I'm going to be here all the time," and uh, he started crying at the last. He said, "I'm getting emotional." Like I've worked so much with Carrick, and the lads are going to be fine. I wish them all the best, and I'm going to be here to support them every single day. And I was like, oh my God. But that it worked. What they were trying to do worked because I then stopped thinking about how bad we are and how bad the Glazers are, and I was like, I felt so bad for him. But they just released that for that reason. And I can't get my head around the things the Glazers do and how poorly they're treating the fans, the club, anyone you want. What was your take on the video?
I mean, I think you've touched on the main thing there is that it's hard watching someone who genuinely loves the club ha like have to leave it, and he does have to leave it. I think he's not been good enough. The results have been horrible, um, and but at the end of the day, he okay, disregarding the whole player thing, he's a United fan, and he does want the best for the club, and I think he genuinely thought that what he was doing was for the best of the club. Um, it's unfair on him for the board to keep him where he's been for so long, as you've said. Um, but I think everyone says, why don't you just step down? Why don't you just leave or something if the results aren't coming? If you had your dream job or like your favorite club in the world and you're managing them, you can't ask anyone to sort of step down from that. That is the most difficult thing that he would probably have to do. So leaving that club and then, when he's talking about it and he's getting emotional and he's thinking about the players that he's sat in rooms and tried to inspire at team talks and you know made the team sheets. He knows the players in and outs. He's had relationships with them, friendships. So when he has to think now he's leaving, he's not going to be part of that Villarreal game. He's not going to be part of that Chelsea game, that big game next week. I think it would have hit him like a ton of bricks. It would have hit him straight away. Um, because I think what he normally does is go game by game. And now I think he's realised that that's his United career basically finished unless he takes like an internal role. Um, it's definitely gutting for him. Um, I think as a fan of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, um, as a player and as a person, I think he's a good guy. Um, as a fan of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer as a player, um, it is hard watching him leave the club forever. However, it is the right thing to do. Um, the first thing that needs to happen is the training staff also need to go with him. Um, sorry, you can't sack a manager by himself when the playing hasn't been good, like the quality of football hasn't been good, because that's the coaching. And the board, okay, yeah, they did really good with the finances, they've done really good economically, they made quite a few good profits, but they have no idea about football, they have no idea what the fans want. There's a massive disconnect there. Okay, it's the same with like the Liverpools but I see Roman Abramovich. I don't know how you say his name, but I see him at like most Chelsea games. I see him clapping. I see him cheering goals. I see Joel Glazer and Ed Woodward's in his ear telling him what's going on, like telling him what is happening in the game. Just watch the game of football and support the club. I don't know. That's me ranting, but yeah, I mean,
No, it's all right. It's all right, and it's this is way well beyond the manager. If the Glazers and Ed Woodward are still the heads of the club and the heads of upper management, no manager is gonna win titles. We're never gonna be an actual title contender for trophies until that changes. Like Ed Woodward in his tenure, what has he done? He's hired four managers and sacked four managers or three. He's hired them, appointed them, extended them, and then sacked them. Like this season. We gave Ollie a new contract, a 3-year contract this season, sacked him 3 months later. We extended Mike Phelan's contract last month when the results were going bad, and he's surely out the door soon enough, whenever we get our permanent manager in. Um, it just our CEO is incompetent. Like he's a banker. He has no background in the football industry. He just does the finances, but he's not good at his job. Clearly, he's not good at his job. So until they're out, until the club is sold, we could get Pep in tomorrow. And don't get me wrong, we'd probably fight for every title out there, but there's still drawbacks because the board likes to control everything. They want a yes man, which Ole was, which Carrick is, which whoever the interim is also going to be. So there's a lot there, a lot to unpack, and I'm just dreading the fact that I have to watch Michael Carrick give the pre-match presser tomorrow ahead of Villarreal. I don't even know what to expect. I might not even watch it. But that was the recap on United. We'll have more updates hopefully this week. Hopefully with a managerial contract that's not Michael Carrick. But around the grounds, both today and yesterday, there was a lot more results, impactful results in the league. We're going to swing over to Liverpool Arsenal. All the three title contenders all had similar matches. I forget. I think Peter Drury said it today. They were all similar mid to upper table um, competition. Uh, they breezed past Arsenal Mill. I mean, without even a question, Trent Alexander-Arnold is absolutely class when he's able to get forward. Um, I know you want to talk about Ramsdale, and there's a big question because Aaron Ramsdale played absolutely phenomenally for Arsenal. He
Mm.
had so many saves. I mean, they could have won 7-8-0 if it wasn't for him. Do you think he could be England's new number one come around the World Cup next year?
Hey, um, I completely get that question. Um, and it's such a logical question. But when I watch England, I see players that play awfully in the Premier League, notably Harry Maguire that comes to mind here, who then go and smash it on the national stage, and we've seen that from Kane as well. Okay, England have played San Marino and Albania, but you know when we talk about the Euros, Jordan Pickford was so key in keeping us in the competition, especially against Germany, against Denmark. I think we were just, we, Gareth Southgate knows his players. I think there's a sort of team bond. Ramsdale should come into the side. Um, Whether he should start, I don't think Pickford has done anything wrong in that England shirt that I've seen so far on the big competitions, the Euros and the World Cup. Um, I don't know, when Pickford saved those penalties in the final, he did his job. He got us to the final. And not only that, at the end of the final, the penalty shootout, he continued to do his job right until the end. It's unfortunate we didn't win, but I think it would be really harsh to cause Pickford to like lose that spot. I think he's earned it. But Ramsdale, yeah, don't let that take anything away from him. He's a quality keeper. Um, the 4-1 sorry, the 4-0. I was thinking about, United's horrors. 4-0. I mean, yeah, okay. He did really well with the saves in the first half from Mane and Salah. The goals were ridiculously hard. Like I think that new left back gave it to him. Um, was it a new left back? What was his name? I can't remember his name.
I
Number 10.
can't remember his name either. Yeah.
Yeah, he passed it. He passed it in, and then Ramsdale was sort of like done there, and I don't know. There's a lot of defensive errors, but I think you put Ramsdale in front of a solid back four. He's a quality keeper, and I've said this before. I think Arsenal remind me of like a Manchester United side, except more inspired before that game. But they tend to remind me of of what United's starting to become now, and that's quite sad because the last thing I want this club to be is just like Arsenal, because that will make us look like DT and Robbie and Ty and stuff. Like I just don't want to do that. Um, I don't know. Arsenal are doing well. Liverpool are rampant though. Trent, you've mentioned it. Like the only player to compete with Reece James this year. Many would argue he's done better, and it wouldn't be a bad argument as well. You know, it's tough. It's tough talking about Liverpool like that, especially as a United fan. But that's the level that we should be. Um, that's the competitive level. We are so far below that, it's a joke. And the fact that Liverpool aren't first and they can come to United, win 5-0, go Arsenal, win 4-0. The fact that they're not first just shows how far off the top we are. Um, I don't know. I don't see us getting back up there anytime soon. I thought that this season would be our season. I was wrong. Um, I don't know. It's a bit of a gutting time at the moment, but yeah, Liverpool looking good.
Liverpool looked great. Chelsea looked great. I mean, no questions asked there. They went into the King Power, which I thought was going to be a tough one for them because it was for us. They dominated Leicester there, and City also today were just completely. Every time I watch City, it's okay. It's obviously not boring to watch them because they play the best football in the world, I think. Just in terms of the passing and the crispness of every pass. but they have the ball the whole match. Like I watched City Everton today. I watched the full 90, and City just had the ball the whole time, and they're just passing. They haven't. I haven't seen City get out of third gear. I think since they played Chelsea, or PSG in the Champions League, but in the Premier League, they just coast by everyone unless they play like an actual proper side. And they just look like such a force. And for the league itself, unbiasedly, it's going to be hopefully very exciting come April time with a three-horse race, um, for the title. But the biggest match today in terms of just I guess sides that need to win was Spurs and Leeds, especially because it was Conte's first home match at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium in charge. Good game as well. I know we talked about on the preview who needed to win it more. We said Spurs just because of their place in the table and the new manager and everything. The first half was it was slow from Spurs. I mean, Leeds dominated that. 10 James scored as well. Obviously, we sold him to Leeds in this past transfer window. It's his first goal for Leeds actually as well. But I think watching not really Spurs but Conte, the camera was on Conte pretty much more than the actual match. Just seeing him out of his technical area shouting orders to everyone on the pitch and just the raw emotion and just seeing that makes me feel so sad inside because I should be seeing him do that at Old Trafford, not Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. You know what I
We
mean?
would be so good with Conte, man.
Two
I
winners
mean,
with Conte and Ronaldo would be unbelievable.
yeah, watching that game when Dan James scored, but then Leeds did have a few more shots on goal. It's sort of the second half where you feel like the Spurs side were on it. They were tunnel vision to win that game, and I don't think losing or drawing was an option at that point. You're 1-0 down. They're not going back for the point. They're going back to win. Højbjerg scores his goal, and you can see the anger in his face after he scored. Not anger, I mean determination, like hunger
Emotion,
to,
yeah, sure.
yeah. Um, and yeah, Dyer's concentration on that free kick is probably one of the funnier things that I've seen. Um, and he miskicked it as well. I was looking
Yeah.
at it in slow motion. It hits like the back of his side foot. Like if that's a side foot and this is his toes, he hits it like with this part. I don't know if that's a football technique. I don't know if I'm just really bad at football, but it went
It's
straight
probably
into the
both.
wall and then the post, and then Regulion bangs it in. But yeah, seeing Conte at the end of the game, screaming, going up to his players, hugging them. Harry Kane was smiling. That's actually a talking point in itself. Um, but yeah, Harry Kane smiling, Conte screaming, Spurs going nuts, and it's only 2-1 at Leeds, but it feels like that's the spirit you have to have when you take 3 points. Um, we've now lost 5 out of 12, and I think that's a joke. I think 3 points now, like we couldn't celebrate them enough because we're getting so far behind that each win is getting less valuable because it makes no difference. Um, I know that's sad to see because 3 points is 3 points, but 3 points when you're 10th versus 3 points when you're fourth, which one are you going to celebrate more? Um, I know. Yeah,
Exactly.
good,
And
good.
I want to talk about Harry Kane actually. Um, now that you brought him up, because he obviously didn't score today, and he's normally not happy when he doesn't score, as any striker of his caliber would be. But his performance today was very, very good, to say the least, to understate it really. And just not even the performance, the inner fight that he had, the character he showed. I mean, he was getting involved in every attack, like holding guys off, just like fighting to hold up the ball. We haven't seen that from Harry Kane in the Spurs jersey in the whole season, really. Last we saw that from him was last season. So you can just see the impact that Conte is having on the players in terms of man management. And also going into halftime, they were playing horrendous. They were getting played off the park, and then the second half starts and Harry Kane hits the post in the first minute. Like they're already generating attacks, and it was all Spurs in the second half, which tells you how impactful Conte is in the dressing room. Because I can tell you right now, he was screaming at them, absolutely screaming at them in that dressing room.
Not in I don't even think in a bad way. Like he would have been screaming at them like I think in an uplifting, motivating way, and I think that United players respond best to that. Obviously, Fergie had his own tactics, but that was a different United side. I think with more characters in there, more men, like more people who wanted to just get the job done, and everyone had that sort of same thing. I think with United now, it's sort of we've lost that touch. I think now players need to sort of be supported verbally rather than shouted at. And I think Conte would have done a great job. I think Ten Hag has clearly done a great job. Ajax top of their Champions League table. Um, they've dominated this season, and they're capable of winning against bigger teams than them. He would be a great fit, and I know I'm sorry for relating everything to United, but yeah, I know. Like Conte's clearly done wonders at half time, and I know I was just hoping that that could have been us, but
Me
given
as well.
Spurs, I do want to see Kane pick back up. I do want to see him become, the world class player that I think people know that he is. Maybe as an England fan, but maybe just I actually just like Harry Kane. I think he's a good player. I want to see him get back to his thing because I think it's rough on him to be like at this age at Spurs, trophyless, but being the player that he is. So he needs to sort of get his value up. So if he does go away, he can go somewhere good, which will win trophies.
Yeah, so exciting time, not an exciting time, but it's time for optimism if you're a Spurs fan. You have an absolutely world-class winner at the helm who's going to get the most out of his players. We're just going to go recap the scores from the weekend from around the grounds. Just quickly, obviously Chelsea winning 3-0 to Leicester. The game of the weekend had to have been Newcastle Brentford 3-3. Like who would have thought that? Not me. My prediction was very low scoring, I think. I got that one completely wrong. But goals galore in that. Another 3-3 Burnley Palace. You were right though. Last episode you were like Chris Wood is gonna bang one in. Chris Wood did score.
He's guaranteed goals. I don't know what it is about Burnley, but it seems like it's like a back like 10 and then Chris Wood and they just like whip it into it.
Yeah, I might have to pick him up in FPL. I might have to. Steven Gerrard getting his first win at Villa Park. Very emotional for him as well. I mean, the emotions he showed was he was so excited to be back in the Premier League. They won 2-0 against Brighton. Obviously, we lose 4-1 to Watford. Um, this match, Wolves beat West Ham this weekend, 1-0 at Molineux. And the thing about this, I was talking to one of my friends before the weekend. You know, the West Ham owner chartered a private jet for Mikhail Antonio. He paid
Yeah.
£100,000 to fly Mikhail Antonio back privately from international duty so he'd be fit for this match. So I was talking to my friend and I was like, first of all, why do that? And two, if you're Antonio, you better score. Like you
Yeah.
better score in this and you better win the match because that's 100,000 quid just down the drain. And it was because they lost. And that was crazy to me.
I mean, what is £100,000 when you're an owner of a Premier League club in the
I mean,
top
I
three
get it,
though?
but
Yeah.
either way, it can't be. Also, there's no way a private jet costs 100,000 quid for one flight. There's no way.
Yeah, what is it? What is on that plane? Like it's from also, what did he say? International duty or holiday? Because he's an English
No,
player.
no, no, he's not. He's because he
So
switched. Yeah,
oh,
he
okay.
switched over.
I was so
Yeah,
confused. I was like, so he's already in London.
yeah.
Yeah,
No,
okay, fair.
he actually scored his first goal from outside the box. I think not. It can't be ever, but it was in a really long time on this international break. Um, but yeah, £100,000 down the drain. Never seeing that again. They lost. And other Dean Smith gets Norwich's second win of the season against Southampton. Like things are just going well for these new
Incredible.
managers. Just happening. Yeah. What a
Wait
time for
until
him.
Carrick steps in. Wait until Carrick does his job. Sharp. Sorry, ignore
It
me,
it
ignore me.
it won't happen. But what was I gonna say? Right. Liverpool beat Arsenal 4-0, obviously. City 3-0 Everton. Spurs nick a 2-1 at home to Leeds. So I mean, this table is looking for us just shambles. I mean, Chelsea have a 3 point lead at the top over City. Liverpool are 1 point behind them. West Ham are in fourth, despite losing. West Ham can now afford to lose matches and still be in the top four. Arsenal behind them, but I'm looking at Wolves and Spurs both ahead of us, and then there's us. United are now in eighth place in the table. I mean, 12 points off first and 6 points off the top four. And we have to go to Stamford Bridge next weekend. So, I mean, we joked around about it on the last episode. Like, Nate was saying, imagine you guys lose to Watford and then you lose to Chelsea. And then I said, Nate, if we lose to Watford and Chelsea, that would be 4 points from 24, and you won't hear from me. So, like, we're gonna lose at Stamford Bridge. Like, we're going to lose. The best we could do is a draw, and we're going to lose. So,
Listen, I think it's a do or die sort of situation now, like against Chelsea. Villarreal needs to be prepared. I think Chelsea obviously needs to be prepared, but when you've got an interim manager, it's difficult.
Michael Carrick takes his first managerial match in charge for Manchester United against Villarreal, Champions League away. But either way, huge news in the Premier League this weekend. Huge news coming up in the Champions League midweek. So thank you all for tuning into this episode. Please, again, smash a like on the video, subscribe, and comment your questions so we can watch them, or we can answer them on the weekend preview. And this one will be special because Nate is coming to London. So me, Mill, and Nate will all be in the same area for the weekend preview. So looking forward to that. We will talk to you guys on Thursday.